Hey everybody, Mike Miller with the Herald Times, joined by columnist Jeremy Price, coming to you from Assembly Hall after a 55-52 Indiana loss to Ohio State. Four in a row here at Assembly Hall, four straight losses, and 9 of 10 overall. Of course, the Michigan State the one outlier here in the last month and a half here for Indiana. So we'll get into this, but
Well, I mean, I think that game is shaping up to be more of a fluke than the spark. The thought was that would really ignite something, and Indiana could turn things around and put together a winning streak and close to the finish. And it turns out that they were just really lucky that Michigan State missed a bunch of free throws and generally just didn't perform up to Michigan State's level, and Indiana got out of there with a win somehow, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And since then, it's been kind of back to reality for this Indiana team. And the reality is that they're not very good. They're not very good shooters.
Mm-hmm.
They're flat to start games, have been since November, basically. And that probably the mirage was the way they won some of those close games when they came from behind there in December against Northwestern and Louisville and Butler. And if they didn't, we probably would have viewed this season a lot differently coming into January, and there wouldn't be so much of a letdown, I guess.
Yeah. No, I think Indiana's full personality was on display here today. Like you said, slow start, bad shooting, and then just enough of a flicker late, enough shots to tease you just a little bit. Then ultimately, the final minute and a half was just an utter mess. From just an execution standpoint, from defensive standpoint, Justin Smith, it was just bad all around. But again, this is a team that has the ability and the tendency to get your hopes up a little bit here as I watch Jake Forrester dunking basketball.
Well, it's nice to see somebody's out here working after that dreadful showing.
Yeah. That too. This is a game that I think if we were going to continue using the words NCAA tournament with this team, you had to win this game. They did not, and now we promise the last month here we will not use the words NCAA tournament with this team.
It's like talking about bowl eligibility for the football team. I mean, just stop it. Let me know when they get enough wins in football, or they are ranked in the top 10 in basketball, and it's still February or March. And besides that, I don't want to hear it.
No, I mean, it is the thing where obviously you got to win home games. You got to win games against comparable competition because games are running out. I think that there's only 7 games left in the regular season. I think we were talking last week, actually, or after the Iowa game. Probably need 5, 6 to be safe to actually get in that conversation. But now you're looking at a situation where you'd have to win, 5 to 7, 6 to 7. And I just don't see it. I don't see it with this team. I don't think they have it in their makeup. I can see a couple more wins coming here and there, and maybe even next week at Minnesota. But by and large, this is not a team that's playing very well. It's playing as themselves. As you said, you look at the Michigan State game as an aberration, but truth of the matter is, the team doesn't really shoot very well, and didn't today. Didn't get a whole lot from Juwan Morgan on the scoring side. Another easy to diagnose loss here. One of many here this last month and a half.
Yeah, it's definitely been deja vu over and over and over again, and I don't know. Maybe it's good for this team to go on the road next week to Minnesota and try and gather some things together. I mean, for whatever you might say about that Michigan State game, they did seem to sort of come together and galvanize in terms of effort and focus and intensity in that game in East Lansing. So maybe a trip to Minneapolis will produce something of the same. I mean, certainly there's some expectations, some weight on them at home. Maybe they feel a little bit of the frustration with the fans. There weren't a lot of boos here today. I mean, those were pretty smattered at best for the most part, and it was just more. There was just sort of a vibe in the building of do something. It was just kind of frustration. Like, we want to be with you, we want to get with you, we want to support you, but you got to give us something to work with here. And this team just really, really struggles to put together anything sustained that anybody can latch onto. Even when they do something good, it's just seems like it's a temporary Band-Aid, and then it's ripped off, and there we go again. So
Yeah, I don't know what to make of this offense. I can't pick it apart and say this is why it's not working, but it's not working. It's not working in virtually any way you have to play basketball nowadays. They can't shoot. Just I see a ton of ball screens, but not a whole lot of purpose inside of those screens or the plays. I don't know. What do you see? Do you see anything that could be changed or fixed within this season that hasn't yet?
unless you're going to change personnel and significantly change personnel, and even those options, again, as we know, are limited just because of injuries and things. I'm not sure you can do a whole lot. There are times. What's most frustrating is times like the beginning of this game when you've got a bunch of guys just kind of standing around and there's nobody moving off the ball, and you throw the ball to Juwan Morgan and he's double teamed, and then you get four guys standing around and he has nowhere to throw the ball because you're easy to guard if you don't move. I think that improved in the second half in particular a little bit, and there were some good plays. There was a play where they dumped the ball inside to Deron Davis. They kind of doubled down. Romeo Langford, who at times can be a spectator on offense, but also at other times, can be really good off the ball. This time relocated, went to the corner, had a wide open look at three, just didn't knock it down. You've got Justin Smith. When he and Morgan are in the game, Smith is playing the four, but when you're using Smith as the four on the perimeter to set the ball screen, there's no offensive threat when you hedge the screen and force the pass to Smith because he shot an early three-pointer today, but the truth is he does not want to shoot that three-pointer. He doesn't really want to shoot the 15-footer. He really doesn't want to shoot anything inside of 8 feet because he's just not feeling confident right now. And so you're playing with a four-man who has no range whatsoever. You're playing with an undersized five-man, especially today against a Caleb Wesson for Ohio State. So even when this team does the things they need to do offensively and it looks a little better, a lot of times it doesn't turn out any better for this team because they're just flawed personnel-wise and shot-making-wise. I mean, when did the offense look the best? Well, the offense looked the best in the last 4 minutes of the game, and that was because they knocked down some three-pointers. And I would say of those, they made 4 three-pointers, and of those 4, probably 2, maybe 3 were optimistic at best.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't a product of
at least
great offense.
For sure.
Devontae, obviously, the long heave. Romeo took one that was contested, another one that was a pretty good look. And then Devontae had another one that was off a kick out, I think, from Deron again. And there's another issue for this team. Deron Davis is probably the one guy who's your most consistent, best threat, both as a scorer and a passer in the low post, and really doing a lot of good things. And he does look healthier than he looked earlier in the season, but still, he can't play 35 minutes a game, and right now this team needs him to be able to play 35 minutes a game to successfully run any kind of offense. Right now he's probably a 20-minute kind of game guy, and that's probably pushing the upper limits for what he's capable of doing, especially with bouncing back from games like Thursday night to Sunday. That's a short turnaround for a guy who's been struggling both coming off the Achilles surgery and the ankle injury. So, again, only other thing you can do is if you want to, Jake Forrester didn't play today, Clifton Moore didn't play today, Race Thompson didn't play today. Don't know where Race Thompson's at. He is a guy that thought coming into the season could give you something. Clearly, the concussion injury was a significant setback, and I don't know if they just don't know where to put him in at or how to put him in there. I mean, clearly that's an issue, and with the way this team plays and plays from behind consistently, it's very difficult to put a guy like that in the game and go, well, we're down 8 to 10 points, try not to screw it up anymore, Race, but I don't know what the answer is. I don't think Archie Miller knows what the answer is, and I clearly don't think these players know what the answer is.
No.
So all that to say, I don't think I really have a good answer to your question, Mike.
Fair. No, it is the $3 million question with Indiana basketball right now is how do you fix this offense? What is their offense, too? I think it's another pretty valid question. What exactly do they value, do they want out of offense in Archie Miller's system? Because I don't know the answer to that either.
And let me add one other thing I was talking about with somebody is that one of the things is that I don't know that what Indiana's running there's necessarily something wrong with, but what you also are relying on is players to understand the game, the flow of a game, where the ball needs to go, when it needs to get there. There was one play, they came out of the timeout, they made a concerted effort. It was reverse the ball, top of the key, dump it down to Juwan Morgan. I think it was the 3-point play, which is only 3 points of the day, early in the second half there after Ohio State went on that little 7-0 run or whatever. But it's like it's just like the alley-oop to Romeo out of halftime against Iowa the other night. There are times they come out of timeouts or set situations, and it's like if Archie can sit there and draw something up for them in terms of we want to go here, we want to do this, then they can be okay with it. But if you ask them to read within the flow of the game, is this a good shot? Is this a bad shot? Do I need to move here? Do I need to move there? Do I want to dump the ball inside? Do I not want to dump? The inability to basically read the game for yourself is a huge hindrance for this team.
Yeah. Did you see Tom Crean's comments yesterday after the loss to Ole Miss?
Yep, saw those.
I guess we should probably say if people haven't. He basically said he deserves credit for not kicking off the entire team when he got here, or when he got to Georgia.
Yes, in classic Tom Crean fashion, said, this is my fault because I should have gotten rid of these guys when I got here, and because I decided to stick with these guys and keep them on the team, we are losing games. So that's my fault.
I don't know why I brought
Which is a way of pulling the bus up and then backing over them and pulling forward again and maybe backing over them another time. So
yes.
That was very nice.
Yeah, I don't know. I was just thinking about that. I mean, it is, again, a situation where you are dealing with, I think, a low basketball IQ team.
Well, I think the reason you bring that up is the same. I think it was Jeff Goodman, national writer, that tweeted, that's sort of taken a swipe at his predecessor, Mark Fox, as well as his players. So throw Fox under the bus while you're backing it up, I guess. But mentioned that, you haven't seen Archie Miller do that to him at Indiana. You haven't seen Dan Hurley do that to Kevin Ollie at UConn. And certainly you could see it if Archie just said, well, that's not my fault. These guys were a bunch of somebody else's recruits, and they don't know how to play basketball the way I want them to play basketball, and nothing I can do about it. And, and he, so for whatever it's worth, to his credit, he hasn't done that. He's just kind of kept his head down and gone about his business. So anyway, interesting little thing there.
Yeah, just thought I'd...
Thanks for throwing that out.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably shouldn't have. Either way. That'll do it from here. Went a little long this time. I think that's all the basketball talk we need.
Yeah, that's enough.
After that was
Till next
pretty
week.
bad. Yeah, till next week. We'll see you.